Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm bringing you a traditional card game, and this game is called Cego. Now there's a few other pronunciations for it. And this time I'm calling it that's C-E-G-O. You can have Z-E-G-O amongst other pronunciations and spellings. And as you can see, this is a German game. It's in the Tarokk family. It has 54 cards. I've brought this across from Germany, and there's one version, one edition of the rules in here. There are many. It's many of these rules are based around the Schmidt FX edition, and this actually has been custom searched when coming back from Germany, in fact. So this game has been around many hundreds of years. This one 1860 or something like that. This particular deck has been owned for about 30 years. And what I like to do is all my games is just to give you a bit of a mixed up deck of cards and then talk you through it. So there are a number of different types of cards. This is a trick-taking game. As I said, it's in the Tarokk family, which is what this relates to. And as you can see, there are different types of cards. If you can see any card which does not have a picture on it, such as this, it is worth 1 point at least, okay? If you see any of these cards, they are worth 1 point. And let me talk to you about the rest. So this is worth 1 point as well. I'll talk to you about the rest of the cards in a moment. Aside from that, I just want to ask you to please, of course, hit the like button. Of course, share the content as well. Of course, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And last but not least, if you head over to the description, you can follow via Instagram. There's over 2,200 photographs. And additionally to that, you can support the channel via Patreon. So you can find other trick-taking games in the channel, and you can do that via going to the playlist, which is called basically classic card games. Anything in there involves usually a classic bicycle deck of cards. If you want to see Double Cop, that will be using classic cards. As you can see, very specific cards for this particular deck. So what are these cards all about? Well, if you've played games like Whist, you'll know that you have a trump suit. This is the trump suit here. There's no other thing other than these 21 cards. So if you see these beautiful pictures here, as you can see, it can either be this woman with children and a farmer, or you can turn it around and it looks like, who knows, sometime later, basically. All these cards are unique and different. As you can see, they're completely, obviously, symmetrical. Of course, there's a slight difference to the bottom left, but that's it. And in this game, we're trying to win the most points. So how do you do that? Well, you're trying to win a number of these tricks. The more tricks to win, you bet you're going to do, and they all have different values. So firstly, let's talk about the values. We have values 1 to 21. All of these cards are worth 1 point. This is a special card. This is obviously this musician, and that is worth 5 points. Okay, that is worth 5 points. Let's talk about the rest of this deck. Okay, these are the standard kind of cards you're going to see elsewhere typically. So you've got the king. The king is worth 5 points. Now again, Skat, Doppelkopf, and those Tarokk kind of games, very similar. So if you're used to that, you'll be used to this. This does streamline it a bit, but games since then have been even better than that, such as Wizard, which we can talk about another time. It's off to the side. That's worth 5 victory points. If you get hold of this in your trick, you'll still have 5 victory points. You also have other cards. You have got here a basically a prince, okay, a jack. That's worth 3 victory points. How can you tell it's a jack? Because it's got a symbol like this. You've got obviously a mace like that, then a sword. So that's worth 5. Aside from that, we've got obviously more kings. We've got more jacks going on here, and there's one of each of the 4 typical suits. Now, aside from that, you've also going to have queens. So if queens, they're worth 4 victory points. So 5, 4, 3. And finally, oh, apologies, these are worth 2. These are your, they're called riders. And then these are your knights, and they're worth 3. So they're basically jacks, okay? King, queen, jack, riders, even though that is a rider. So it's 5, 4, 3, and then 2. Or sorry, jacks, I guess, are these riders. Basically, a horse is 3, put it that way. So you're going to shuffle all your cards up and you're going to deal them out. You can deal all your cards out. So that's 56 cards. They're all going to get dealt out. And it's going to be played, either say it's a 3 or 4 player game. We're going to set this up as a 4 and I'm going to show you how it works. So you're trying to win as many tricks as possible. And normally you are playing with what's called a Cego, which is you're going to deal a hand of cards out to them as well. And then they're going to be involved too. So the way it works is you're going to deal out 11 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now from now on, I'm not dealing any more here. Well, I will be, but you'll see in one moment what I mean. Because each player will get 11 cards. The Cego gets 10. So you'll see what I mean in a moment. Just to randomize it a bit. Now that's 2. That's 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. And I think that might be it. We'll double check this final card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. These should all have 11 in it. We'll just quickly check and show your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Great. We'll do the rest quickly. So this is a game when we first played it. It wasn't particularly gripping, but then subsequently this was played every day for a couple of weeks. So it was, really appealing. And as you'll see, the scores come quite close. They come quite far apart. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's say what happens. I'm the dealer. The person to the right of the dealer is going to go first. So the Cego just stays in the center for the time being. And the person to the right of the dealer is going to look at their hand and they can basically make a decision if they want to try and win the Cego. The way that works is at the end of the this round of scoring, where we play out all our cards, they get to take this deck as well and it'll score into their hand. So scoring for 2, not for the rest. So let's look at our cards. Let's sort them. So we've got these cards at the back, and as you can see, these are trumps. These are worth more. I'll tell you more about the scoring, how it works in a moment. Let's chuck all these to the front. So I've got my higher scoring cards here. We're going to have these lower scoring cards here. And reds and blacks do work slightly differently. So of course, you're going to have your value cards, 1 to 10, and they're going to be valued 1 to 4 and 7 to 10. Now, the way it works is if you happen to have a 1, then a 1 in a red is higher than a 4 in a red. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same works for these. That's why it's sorted like this. If you have any black cards, then that's the opposite. If you have a 10, it's the highest value. So 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's, for some reason, they choose to alternate it there. Aside from that, you've obviously got values over here too. So as I've talked about the values, we're also going to say that the queen is higher than a jack, which is higher than a rider. And also a rider is higher than a jack. And finally, the king at the top. So we're going to alternate that way as well. Don't worry, I'm going to recap these rules again. And you're then going to say, right, okay, if you want, you can say solo. Solo means you think you've got good cards and you can work with this deck. If you think you can work with that deck, you're going to take your 2 highest value cards, so in this case, these 2, and chuck them over here. I say they're your highest value. They're going to score you 1 point each, but they're going to allow you to win other people's cards. So that's because they're trick cards. So I'll explain the rest in a moment. Let's just cover this off as well for the time being. They're going to say no. They're going to say no, because this is when they're saying about solo. It comes back to this person, so they've got to take it. So now, without looking at these cards, they're going to chuck 2 cards in. They're going to take this deck of cards, and now they are going to play with these cards, and they have to give 1 card back. So you have a 7. I mean, they could have checked their cards. That's the lowest card anyway, because 7, 8, 9, 10 is the lowest value. Put those off to one side. They'll be scoring these cards in a moment, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So these values, when you add them all up, adds up to 106. And the 1 and the 21 of these trump cards are worth 5 points as well. So I'm just going to sort these out quickly. 5, 10, 7, and then we've got that there. Put that there. Do it by suit. So we'll put the reds at the front, blacks behind. And there we go. Okay, we're going to pop that there. All right, I think we're ready to begin. So it won't be this person starting off. It'll be to the obviously next to the dealer. So they can lead off. Let's just say they play a card. So what you have to do, you must follow suit. So this person has played a diamond. If this person has a diamond, they must play a diamond. This card is worth 2 victory points. Remember? 2, because this is a jack. If it's a horse, it's 3. So they've got a diamond. They could play a lower value card. Again, they're playing against this person here. These people are working together. And they do have a diamond. They can play it. So if they think they're going to win it, they could play it. But now they're doing an even better card. They're just going to play a low value card and hope that they're going to win this card. So that's going to go on top. Now it's my turn. So I'm going to look at my cards. I can beat it and I can follow suit. So I must follow suit. And then I play it here. So currently I'm winning this trick. So currently this is worth 4 points. That's worth 1 point. That's worth 2 points. They look at their cards. Firstly, can they play into that trick? They can. So they must. So now they play a single card. I win it. So that's the lowest card, because it's a 4. So it goes 4, 3, 2, 1 in red. So 1 will be winning it. But then you have the jack, then you have the rider, then they have the king. So the queen, then you have the king, and then you're on to the trumps. So currently, I've now won myself 4, 2, so that's 6 points, 7 points, 8 points I've just won in that hand. Not that high, but it's something. I've won 8 points, put them to one side. And then I lead off. So I look at my cards, I think, well, what do I have a lot of? What do I hope people can follow? So this case, I'm hoping my Cego, when in fact I would have known that from seeing my other cards. Can I win it with this? Well, let's just have a look. I can't recall. So this person, they can follow suit. It's not as high. In fact, they could win it. So now this time around, they will play higher. And now they're just going to chuck in lower cards. So it doesn't really matter. In fact, if there's anything better, no, they can't. And now so this is interesting. They cannot follow suit. They must play a trump card. Now, it's pointless playing a high trump card. So they could play a 1, the lowest value. And the benefit for this is not only are they going to win the trick, it's worth 5 points. Remember, the 1 and the 21 are worth 5 victory points. They have now won this, everyone else's team, not my team, 5 points. Another 4, so that's 9. A king, that's 14. That's 15 points won there. Now they're leading off. And everyone now knows this person doesn't have any spades. So they've won that trick. And then you go on. So this time they might want to lead with some trumps. So it's not a high scoring round playing these. So it's playing 8. I'd play a 7. I don't really want to win 2 points maybe. We're playing a lower card again. They don't really care. They're just trying to give them that trick. And yeah, they're playing a nice low value here. So now they've won this trick. Again, highest value, quite easy this one. They've won themselves another 4 points. But it means that when I start running out of cards, it means I can't now play any trick cards to try and win it. So now it's there leading off again. Any more trump cards? They're going to play, let's play. Again, the risk here is if you play something like a heart, if I can't follow, well, it turns out I can of course just try and get a cheap trick win. So I'm going to have to follow suit. The only thing I've got is, it's 2 points they're going to take off me here currently. They don't need to worry about it. Again, that's the second lowest value, 4, 3, 2, 1. So they're just going to play that. Although knowing that they're going to win it, they'll contribute quite a big card. And they can give us, the other team, the team that they're on, 4 points. They don't, or they do have a heart, so they take it. So now, again, not my team, the opponents score themselves 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 points compared to that first trick that I won with 12. Hopefully that's making sense. That keeps going across until everyone's completed all their cards. You then add up your score. So this is my trump hand, if you remember, the Cego hand that I swapped out, my original hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So how many points would I have kept to my Cego? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 points. Another 4, so that's 12, 13, 14 points. Not many points considering, remember, this is a hand where you're playing 106 points. You're looking to get yourself quite a high number. So, like I said, this is a game whereby you're on a balance between having obviously some cards which have the points values on them, and of course the trump cards as well. Now, aside from that, there is a way where you must play Cego, or where you must be the person who has the Cego, and the way that works is, if you look at your cards, so let's just grab 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or something like that. If in your hand you ever have, so we haven't talked about this card, it beats anything, it beats the 21. So if you want to play that, you're guaranteed to win the trick. No one can touch it. Okay, so if that card comes up, and it's worth 5 victory points. There's only one of them, so you want to keep an eye out on when that's going to come out. If your hand ever has, as I mentioned, 2 of those trump cards, these are trump cards, which equal higher than 17, so 17 and 18, or 18 or 19, or 18 and 20, or 19 and 21, anything which is 18, 19, 20, 21, any of those 2 cards, if you have 2 of those, then you're guaranteed to actually have to play by yourself with that Cego. And that's something to be aware of. Like I said, there's lots of different variants. It's a very popular game in the southwest of Germany. Even in one town, there are different variants. I played a lot. Around 100 players play weekly this game. As of yet, I haven't seen any other videos. So apologies for this being a bit back and forth in what it is. But I was very clear to try and explain to you that you have, obviously, cards which give you points. Cards that you're basically following with, just a ditch. As with other trick-taking games, it's about trying to deplete your hand to a degree. And cards that you're winning with. And it makes sense, it's balanced to say, well, you don't get many points for this 20 card, but it helps you win other cards. And that's what it's about. It's a trick-taking game where you need your trumps to try and dominate. But more than that, of course, you're trying to work to win with your team, or of course, win by yourself. And each round, whoever starts, of course, the dealer's going to change to the left. You always deal anti-clockwise. I don't know really why necessarily. But the potential person to play Cego will always vary by 1, unless you, of course, have 2 high-value cards, or you want to play solo, which means, yes, you are going to have to chuck a card in and swap it out. So there is a way of doing it. If you think you've got great cards, I had 6 cards here, which happened to be, had 6 trump cards. And that time round, I thought, no, I'm going to play solo, because that way round, I've got a good chance of actually trying to win some cards. So that pretty much covers off the game of Cego. My rating has kind of gone up a bit, around 6.5, and it's quite interesting. Like I said, I love the artwork. Thick enough cards, decades old. I like the artwork. I mean, some of the art is a bit odd. I mean, this horse looks a bit strange, to be honest, in a way. And these are the same, but some of the other cards are quite nice. How, like I said, you can alternate them, and you've got these people playing happily, and then suddenly you've got this rat catcher, maybe. I don't know if this is death or whatever it might be. Someone with a shotgun or an umbrella or something. So, yeah, this is the game Cego. If there's anything else, I'll of course let you know. As I said, you must follow suit. If you can't, you must trump as well. So that's something you must be aware of. And I said it goes 4, 3, 2, 1 for the in those values. So that's higher. So reds are always highest. You must follow, of course, hearts. If it's a diamond, you must follow that as well. And I just want to recap everything else. So yeah, you can play Cego, and also if you have 8 or more trump cards, you've also got to play by yourself as well. There are a couple of times whereby obviously 2 of you might have the option of having more than one card, and the way it works is, yes, you're going to see how many obviously points you're trying to achieve depending on how far over you are. So each time you're playing, you're going to play with different players. I could be playing by myself this round. Next time I win, and obviously I could play something different. You can choose not to announce, of course, solo, but that could backfire if there is a lot of, obviously, trump in the blind. And if no one announces solo, as I mentioned, then someone could announce beggar, which is if they want to, that means they won't win a single trick. If there's no beggar or no solo, you can announce piccolo, and it means you want to win 1 trick. And if more than one person announces Cego, there's something called the robber, where everyone plays for themselves. So yeah, please be aware of that too. Well, anything else I can, I'll of course provide for you as well. Like I said, there's 106 points. You're trying to get yourself 51, and yeah, you're trying to see, normally play to about 10 points. So the way that works is if you get more than about 3/4 of those points, then that'll help you towards getting yourself 2 points as opposed to 1 point when you have obviously a difference fewer than 30, so that kind of stuff. So hopefully that's of interest. There's more information available. Like I said, nice card, interesting game, but it has been superseded by games, and I will quickly bring in shot now, such as Wizard. Okay, that's a lot more streamlined version, which only came out a couple of days, or 25 years ago now, 26 years ago, because that's the anniversary, or the second anniversary edition. And it's an interesting game, still loved in Germany, and that's the only place you can really get hold of this game, particularly with these cards as well. So it's very niche. Of course, even Wizard, of course, you could try and make your own deck, but there are some examples to that. But yeah, there's a bit of scoring going on the back here on how the difference works and how many points you're going to gain. Interesting concept. Of course, remember, there's only 1 trump, and that trump always stays. But each trump card in itself is only worth 1 victory point because you're trying to steal those points of someone else. Doesn't take too long, and of course, you can just play 1 hand, then come back to it. That has been the game, Cego.